Hello, good afternoon. I am Carla Sanders, the Cosmic Crone, and I'm glowing. I am so excited and so grounded. I've just come off the first two of the Lilith readings. If you've been following, you know that last week I opened the doors to a special offer on Lilith Divine Feminine Astrology Readings at a special price. And the first two are in the can. And oh boy, those are incredible women, and they showed up knowing what they wanted and ready to receive it. And that is the best way to show up for a reading. So I wanted to share with you some of the things that I learned from delivering these readings. And first off, Lilith has a lot to say. She had a lot to say to these two, and that's because they were open. Their hearts were open. They had their questions. They were tuned in to the Divine Feminine, and they really were incredibly receptive. And that is the number one quality to bring to a reading. What is it that you want? And I'm not going to out these women because confidentiality is sacred to me. So I'm not naming names. And I will say that if either of you are listening, if at some point in the future you want to let people know about your experience with the reading, that's amazing. For the moment, keep it inside. These readings are held sacred in your womb because they are deep and complex and multidimensional, and they're going to keep unfolding inside of you for a while. And while that's happening, you don't want to be talking about it. You don't want to be talking about it to other people. And you can talk about it to me, especially if you have a question, but you're holding this inside and walking with it and letting it bubble through you. Everything about you is shifting around the information and the energy of this reading. It is a profound awakening and healing resource that is working inside of you. These planets are like ancestors. They are active, living entities in the way that we approach them. They're little marks on a piece of paper, symbols and positions, and the chart is a thing that you can read and assign meaning to. But when we show up available and ready for a reading, we're dealing with living, active, changing entities. They are working in us in the moment right now. So this is something that I think I became more aware of it with these readings than I have been before. I've always approached reading of the astrology chart with my clients and with individuals who just want a divine feminine astrology reading. It's been my approach, and I just felt it so strongly with these two readings that I've just completed. So it is not time to share your experience if you've just recently had a reading, and I'm going to share right now some of the things that I learned in general, because I know some of you who follow the Divine Feminine New Moon, Full Moon readings, or have been looking for a way to work with me and just needed a step in. I want to give you some of the information and some understanding of what can happen when you step into this process with me. So it just so happened that each of these women was experiencing a major astrological milestone. And two of the most famous are first or second Saturn return and Chiron return. And there are others as well. And when we look at that chart, we can see if something is up. Not to mention that we are in the eclipse cycle, and each of them happen to have significant aspects to the sun and or the moon in its eclipsed state. They also had something going on at it's still active, but back at the solstice, Jupiter, Saturn. So both aspects as the planets are moving and changing, and also where you are in your life with the planets. These can all impact how that reading unfolds and opens up for you. So they were both experiencing the milestones that presage a big transformation and healing. And they both responded with, oh no, what do I have to do now? And, you know, am I ever going to be finished? And what am I going through now? And there's a part of me that kind of wants to jump in and say, oh no, it's not bad. It's good, let's go. And then I realized, no, it is absolutely appropriate to approach a significant astrological milestone or a significant transit in your life with a sense of holy trepidation, respect, humility, and surrender. And you can ask me how I know, because I stepped up a few years ago to my second Saturn return saying, I'm ready, bring it. And Saturn humbled me abjectly. So if you're getting a reading and what's showing up in the chart makes you think, oh God, not this, that's all right. That's actually healthy, because there's another way to approach it. Yes, with holy trepidation, humility, respect, knowing that it's a big deal and that it may not be easy. But I also want you to recognize this. The universe is not out to get you, and neither are the planets. The universe, in cahoots with your soul, is going to challenge, engage, and elevate you. And they really don't care what that requires. They will meet you where you are, and they will match your resistance. So the more you fight, or the more you think, I've got this, I am ready for this, the more they're going to meet that energy. And it's all because they love you, the universe, and your soul. So the universe demands that you bring your A game, and to show up to especially a divine feminine astrology reading with your A game, ready, available, humble, respectful, and prepared for greatness, prepared to grow. Because what you will discover, there are always multiple points that show you where you're ready to expand and grow. One of the things I've learned is that and that I'm always looking for, I make a point of bringing this out. Yes, there will be the challenges. There are the places that talk about why you're repeating your patterns, or why something's not working, or why you kind of feeling steamrolled. But there's also the points that show this is where you are great. This is where you are growing and expanding. And we can feel a lot of resistance about that, because usually in order to expand, we have to let go of the old walls and the old patterns that we develop to keep us safe. So the invitation is always to approach the reading with joy, curiosity, and playfulness because you are having an intimate relationship with the universe. And if any of you know anything about relationships, they're our greatest teachers. So when you approach an astrology reading, you are having a conversation with the universe. You are evaluating your entire lifelong relationship with the universe. And there are hard times and there are great times. So remember, the universe is not out to get you. It's simply requiring you to step up with the best that you have to offer and ready to expand into the best you have to offer. And yes, your A game is a human game. So you will have times of feeling overwhelmed, off balance, maybe even petulant, childish, ashamed, sad, angry, outraged. And you will grieve, you will fear, and you will stomp your feet. And you will shake your fist and say, "When is this going to be over?" That's all right. You may even say to the universe, "I'm taking my toys and I'm leaving. I am not playing this game with you anymore." And the universe loves that. The universe will send you something to keep you in the game. It might bring you to your knees, or it may completely uplift you and delight and meet you with ecstasy. It will do all of that. And this is, of course, is happening whether or not you have a divine feminine astrology reading. But I can tell you that when we go into your chart together, we look at the readings. We look at those places, and I'll tell you what to watch for. This is happening now. This is what's coming. And of course, you bring your question. I always ask for a guiding question, and that becomes the center that we build this reading around. So what you are going to discover, especially in a reading that is based on Lilith, all of the avatars of the divine feminine, you will see where your potential is. Where are you expanding? You have a capacity to and an ability to grow so much larger than your problem. And that's what I really want you to gather. Whether you've had a reading recently or you're thinking about a reading, you are growing much larger than your problem. And your problem then becomes something that you can contain inside of you, you can work with, you can metabolize, and you can transmute and transform. So does that thrill you a little bit, or even a lot? Do you feel the universe, the divine, calling you in? Well, between now and the June 10th solar eclipse, I am holding the doors open for Divine Feminine Astrology Readings, the Lilith Eclipse Special. It is a reading focused on 4 different Liliths, as well as Lilith's aspects to other planets in your chart. And we will look at what is going on now. What are the transits? Did Jupiter, Saturn have something to do with it? Where are the eclipses falling? What else is coming down the pike? And you will be well prepared to work with this eclipse portal energy that we are in the middle of right now. These readings are being offered until June 10th, through June 10th. After the eclipse is over on June 10th, the price goes back up, and they are at a 30% savings right now. So I will put the link. Actually, I don't have a separate web page for this. I've simply got the PayPal link where you can reserve your reading. There, besides the time limit, there's also a limited number, and there are 8 of them left. I just sold another one today. So people are tuning in and saying, I need this, I want this. Show me, just send me the link, Diva Carla. Where's the PayPal link? So why does Lilith really matter right now? Because during this eclipse cycle, both the full moon last Wednesday and the solar eclipse next Thursday, Black Moon Lilith merges energy with Lilith Star, the demonized dark goddess. And when this energy is merging, and this has been happening over and over for a couple of years, Venus, Vesta, and now Black Moon Lilith, this is an awakening of the dark goddess inside of us and in our culture, in our energy field. She was demonized when patriarchy emerged, several thousand years ago. And we were told that she was evil, and what she represented inside of us, male and female, is evil, and we should deny, suppress, oppress, and even kill it. And many of us were killed. A part of us was killed. Our bodies were killed because we honored the goddess within. This is the witch. This is the medicine woman. This is the indigenous healer, the shaman, the magician. Anyone who defied the rules of the patriarchy was at risk and hunted down and called a witch, whether they were or not. So for this reading, I am looking at basically the 4 points of the witch, the Liliths, the demonized goddess, and Black Moon Lilith in conjunction to her right now. Where are they in your natal chart? And where is this conjunction aspecting? It's aspecting your chart somewhere. It might be connected to some of the other planets, but it's definitely in a particular house of your chart. The eclipses are, this conjunction is, and it will help you so much to move forward if you know where it sits. What part of your life is being most directly impacted? What part of your life is awakening to this dark goddess and divine feminine energy? So Black Moon Lilith is the feminine before patriarchy. She is the great creation goddess before the Gaia gods were invented, or she was in partnership with them, because the masculine and feminine has always existed. But the first divinities from Paleolithic times were feminine. And certainly, at the very least, she had equal space. But the great mother, the great goddess, was before patriarchy. And Lilith is hooked right into that. And then the demonized goddess represents this universal goddess that has been forbidden to us. And the Lilith asteroid represents that feminine wound within us. The feminine that has been demonized, not demonized, but disowned, told that you are less than, that you are not as important, that you don't matter. That has been your power and wisdom and your right to own yourself, your sexuality, your body, your reproduction. All of these things have been co-opted by patriarchy and commodified. And that is a wound that we are all either actively suppressing and exacerbating, or we're actively healing it. And Lilith asteroid in our chart tells us where that healing can begin to unfold. And then the other one is dark moon Lilith, which is a hypothetical second moon around the earth. And this importance is she in many ways, this Lilith enfolds all of the other Liliths, because it is where she has been stuffed into our unconscious and shows up in dreams and desires. And some of them are kind of inverted. The things that we want and the things that we think we don't want, and yet are activated in our manifesting energies. So when you book the reading, we can talk more about what that means and what that means to you personally, and begin to bring it up to create at the very least, new pathways for you begin to see what has been hidden and suppressed inside of you, and begin to make sense of things that are bubbling up in your consciousness or that have bugged you your entire life and you haven't known why. Lilith can begin to reveal that. So I will close with this. Lilith is calling us to remember the power of the feminine before patriarchy. That is what is required if we are to heal the wounded feminine inside of us and within our culture, male and female. And this is a creative endeavor. It's work of the imagination, because we don't know what it was like. We have lived in patriarchy for so long. We don't know what it's like. And yet, we can never completely forget what that's like. And so when we activate Lilith, we are remembering, literally bringing forth something so ancient within our DNA that we begin to remember that which we had forgotten. And this unleashes power, creative power, artistic power. Who do you think painted this coyote behind me? Lilith within me. How did I meet Lilith in the first place? Through art. And I know many women who have activated their Lilith, sometimes through working with me, and their poetry sings the song of the goddess. Their medicine sings of the goddess. Their dance and movement sing and scream of the goddess. They are creating through her all the time, because that's who Lilith is, the creatrix, the fertile one. And our sexual energy is that creative energy, and Lilith brings that up. And where we have been wounded and abused and suppressed and oppressed around sexuality and fertility and femaleness, she will help us heal. This takes courage, practice, support. Lilith activates your voice. That's a lot of what the creativity is. Any art form is voice emerging. And Lilith speaks truth. This full moon in Sagittarius that just finished, it hasn't finished, it's still active, but we had it last week. It is a truth-telling moon. And, oh, thank you, Diana has spoken something. I'm going to read this into the audio. I met her through art, and that experience opened me to my path. Thanks for the clarity. I hadn't realized it. Well, thank you for sharing that, Diana. That's important for people to hear. So it is time for your reading. It is time to save money on your reading. I don't do this very often. In fact, these days I'm more likely to raise my prices than lower them because I'm busy and the work is so valuable the way it comes through. And I want to give more of you a chance. I want to make it irresistible for you to meet Lilith in your own life and find out what it is she has to say to you. So as you receive the revelations, know that I am here for you. And there are always next steps that we can take together. But we start with Lilith. We start everything with the Divine Feminine Astrology Reading. So this is a good way to open that door right now. I'll put a link in the comments and that PayPal link so that you can jump right in and claim one of the last 8 spaces. So it's whichever comes first, June 10th or the 8th reading is sold, because they are going, they've already started, and it's gorgeous, gorgeous work. I can't wait to do it with you. And I'm going to sign off now, go to my next meeting, and I look forward to seeing you soon.